Hey, what's up guys, this is Kazuriro bringing you my first ever BuddyFight deck profile, and as you can see right now, it's going to be about my Magic World deck, but more specifically about the Wizard archetype. So as you can see, I have my Magic World flag here, and as my buddy, I chose to use Lich because he's one of the few units in the deck that I run 4 copies of, so it gives me more chances to get him and do my buddy call to gain that 1 free life. So yeah, that's basically why he's my buddy. So flag, I have my flag here, buddy, and let's get right into the deck itself. Since this is a Magic World deck, I'm going to start off by with the spells first, since they are the most important part of the deck. So yeah, as for the mandatory spells, I run of course 4 copies of Nice One. Nice One, main draw engine of the deck, pay 1 gauge and draw 2. Keeps your N advantage and gives you a +1 at the end of the day. So really good, mandatory, and pretty much any Magic World build out there. 4 copies of Magical Goodbye. Magical Goodbye, also a mandatory spell in any Magic World deck. It's basically a costless bounce for level 2 or less monsters on the field. So you can use it for yourself if you want to protect a monster, your monster from an attack, or if you want to reuse a come into play effect, or you can use it on your opponent's monsters to make them pay their call cost again, or if you just want to get rid of something quickly. So yeah, really good card. Has a lot of versatility, so that's why it's really good in any build. 3 copies of Kosher. Kosher, I need 3 wizards to activate the spell, but when I do, I can put the top card of my deck into the gauge and draw 1. So it's a secondary draw engine, and it's also a gauge engine. Getting 3 wizards on my field is not that hard, since I run a lot of size 1 monsters to swarm the field early, so it's not, the requirement is not that big. And yeah, secondary draw engine and gauge engine. I'm going to leave this here. 3 Solomon shields. This used to be at 4 before the new ruling about link attacks, but it's still really good because it's a costless negate attack, but you can't negate link attacks. So if they link attack you, you can't use this card, but if they attack you with single monsters, you can use this, and it's basically free. It negates their attack. If they want to link attack you, however, you can use 3 copies of Chillax to stop their link attacks and gain 1 life at the end for 1 gauge. Yeah, this was at 2 before, but now it's at 3 since the new rulings, since link attacks are really more prevalent now. So yeah, 3 copies of Chillax. That's it for that. 2 copies of Begone. Begone is basically the solemn judgment of this game. You can pay 2 and negate their summon completely, and their monster goes into the discard pile. So they actually pay the cost for their monster if they have a call cost, and you can use this, and they basically have nothing left and they lost everything. So really good card, really good card. Only at 2 because it is pretty costly. It is 2 gauge. But overall, really good. One of the best removal in this deck. 2 Abracadabra. Abracadabra, pay 2 gauge, and you can negate a spell from your opponent. So yeah, really good in the mirror because Magic World uses a lot of spells, but other clans have good spells too, so it can be really useful. Only at 2 because it's not every day that I play the mirror. So yeah, it's not always useful, but it's still good to have it in your back pocket in case something bad happens. And as for my last spell, I run of course the 2 Grandfather Clocks. Grandfather Clocks is the main winning image of the deck. I need to have 6 different wizards in my discard pile to use this. It costs 2 gauge to activate it, but when I do, I basically have an extra turn. So I have 2 draws, 2 attacks, 2 main phases. Basically, when I activate this, it's pretty much game, or it's close to game over for my opponent. Not that hard to set up because I have a lot of cards in the deck that discards from my hands, and so it can fool the six different wizard in the discard pile requirement. So yeah, this is the main winning image basically. So 2 copies of Grandfather Clock. As for the monsters, size 1 monsters, I run, like I said earlier, I run 4 copies of Lich. Lich gains 3k when I have Duncan Height on my field. So he becomes a 6/17. He becomes really big defensively. Defensively when I have the combo on my field. So yeah, really good. These guys are who I use to storm the field early, basically. 4 copies of Duncan Height, the other half of Lich. He also gains 3k in both stats when Lich is on the field, so he becomes a 7/16. A little bit, he's the offensive counterpart of Lich, so he's the one I use to attack, and Lich is the one I use to defend. So yeah, 4 copies of those guys. They're both wizards, of course. 3 copies of Kenji. Kenji, vanilla monster, but the reason I use him is because he has 2 critical, which is really rare in wizards in general. Most wizards deal 1 damage, so yeah, 2 critical, really good, and really important if you want to deal damage fast to your opponent. So 3 copies of Kenji, 3 copies of Will Gossard. Will Gossard also a damage dealer because he deals 2 damage, but he has an effect which is when I deal damage to my opponent, I can pay 1 gauge and draw 1. So he's also a draw engine and a pressure unit to pressure my opponent with the +1 I can make with him. So yeah, Will Gossard really good because he's both a pressure unit, a draw engine, and a damage dealer. So yeah, 3 copies of Will Gossard. And as my last size 1 monster, I run, of course, the main man, Asmodai, Demon Lord Asmodai. He's not a wizard, sadly, but he's still really good. When I play him, I can discard 1 and pop something on the field, so I can get rid of something annoying from my opponent's field. And he fools Grandfather's Clock because he discards something from my hand. So I can discard a wizard, fool the clock, and get rid of something annoying from my opponent's field. So 2 copies of him, even though he's not a wizard. Size 2 monsters, I run 3 copies of Albrecht. Albrecht, he is a wall vanilla monster, but 6k on defense is huge. 6k, combine the 6k on defense with the fact that I have a lot of defensive spell and he can be an impenetrable wall. And he also has 2 critical, of course, because he's a size 2 monster. So yeah, really good. 3 copies of. He's the main unit I want on my middle lane. 2 copies of Soichiro. Soichiro reduces my cast costs for magic wall spells by 1. So nice ones becomes free. Be Gone becomes 1 gauge, and etc. So really, if I want to control stuff, I want to go into a more tempo-y, control-y flow of the game. I can just put him on the field and cast my things for like basically free. So yeah, really good in case I want to switch the pace of the match. And 1 copy of Marisu. Marisu, call cost of 2 gauge. Pretty expensive, but when she's called on the field, I can search for a spell and put it in my hand. So I can search for Grandfather Clock if I have everything set up. I can search for a removal, I can search for a draw, I can search for anything basically. So she replaces herself by anything I want in my deck. So she's basically a tutoring card and a toolboxy card, so really good. Only run 1 because she's 2 gauge and she's pretty expensive. And size 3 monsters, I run the main witch, the main wizard, the main girl. The reason I wanted to build that deck, 2 copies of Hearty. Hearty, she's basically everything. I mean, she has a call cost of 3 gauge, but she has double attack. She's huge, she has 6k on both stats. And she has 2 effects. 1, I can discard a card from my hand, discard a wizard from my hand and negate link attack. from my opponent, or I can discard a card from my hand and pop something on my opponent's field. So yeah, she's really like, she's a really good monster. That's why she's size 3. She also fools the clock because I can discard stuff from my hand and cast Grandfather's Clock right after. So yeah, really good. Double attack, 6k, 6k. Like I said, coupled with all the defensive spell, coupled with her effects. I mean, it's really huge. She's a wall, and certain matchups can be a wall, and certain matchups it can be useless because you'd rather have like more size 2 or size 1 units on your field to pressure your opponents. But like in other matchups, like she's really hard to defeat. So 2 copies of her, Hearty, the main girl. And as my last cards to make the deck a 50 cards total deck, 3 copies of Bechstein. Bechstein is the item I use because it's really good. Equip cost of 1 gauge, but the item has an effect, which is I can tap it to deal 1 damage. So I can do it every turn pretty much. I can burn my opponent for 1 damage every turn, and since it doesn't attack, I can still play something in the middle because it's not an attack, it's an effect. So yeah, basically it's a burn every turn. So 3 copies of it because I really want to see it. And if I already have like a Bechstein already equipped, I can just use it as gauge. So it's not having a lot of copies of it is not too bad. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's 50 cards total. This was my Magic World Wizard deck. I still need to do more testing about this deck. Obviously, I just started using this deck, but overall, like from the few matches I did, it's pretty good. There are a couple of little adjustments I could make, but so far it tested pretty good. I'm probably going to write something about it, about this deck on my blog, but I'm not sure yet. I still need to do more testing, like I said. So yeah, guys, that was it for my Magic World Wizard deck. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.